I was also involved in Christian student ministries. I always preferred having Christian friends to non-Christian ones, because we thought more alike. And although I had many great Christian friends, I also felt a lack of closeness with them because of a difference of opinion about what constituted living according to God's laws, with regard to dating, alcohol, going to clubs, etc. They constantly asked if there was something wrong with me and made fun of me when I turned down invitations to clubs, drinking, etc. This made me feel terrible inside. One day I met several Muslim sisters and felt an instant affinity, like I'd never felt before. Like me, they didn't date, swear, drink, and the long list of other common vices. It was a great feeling to find people with whom I agreed so much on so many subjects. I was surprised to learn that there was another person on the planet so similar to me. I had no idea that such a creature existed. Since this was the second time that Muslims had caught my attention, I decided that I should at least look into Islam. So I called a mosque and went there for advice. I received a copy of the Quran and began to read it. Slowly my focus began to shift from Christianity to Islam. I first stopped teaching the Christ as Savior part of my Sunday school lessons and opted for morality lessons every week. However, I soon became unable to look the children in the eye when I taught them, because I felt I was a hypocrite to them and their parents, who expected me to be a Christian role model. Then, during my prayer, I felt God leading me to stop teaching Sunday school and go to different churches on Sundays to study church growth. For example, when two churches are located on the same street, why does one have 50 members and the other 5,000? It didn't make sense to me at the time, but I felt strongly about it. I had learned that if I was sure that God was leading in a certain direction and convinced that it was God and not my own instinct or desire, then I had better do it if I wanted a better life. I had ignored His guidance in the past and failed many times. More funny stories for another time. I didn't discuss Islam with anyone, because I felt I was betraying all my Christian family and friends. I didn't even discuss it with my Muslim friends, because I didn't want my decision to come under any pressure. Slowly, without realizing it, I began to change my beliefs from Christianity to Islam. It wasn't a quick or easy transformation, because the whole basis of my life was Christian, but it was a transformation nonetheless. One day, a Muslim friend at school asked me what I liked to do when I wasn't at school. I told her that my favorite activity was teaching Sunday school. She asked me where I taught and I told her that I wasn't teaching anywhere. She asked why, if it was my favorite activity. At that point I realized that I had changed, without even realizing it had happened. I knew I would never teach Sunday school again, because I was no longer a Christian, but instead maybe, possibly, a Muslim. My beliefs were now solidly Islamic. It was one of the hardest things I had to admit. I think, in a way, I had hoped to return to Christianity in the end, so that my life would be easier, but no. I slowly answered her that I no longer believed in Christianity, perplexed and saddened by this realization. It was very difficult to say those words. She asked why and I explained that I had read the Quran and believed in its content, as opposed to what the Bible contained. She asked, "So you're a Muslim?" I said, "I don't know what defines someone as a Muslim." She asked me a series of questions about my beliefs and then told me that I was a Muslim and that I just needed to convert. I asked how one converts and she said that all I had to do was repeat the words I would say, and so I did. I then experienced the death of my Christianity and the birth of my Islam in just a few minutes. Needless to say, that moment is etched in my brain permanently, inshallah, God willing. I was so excited, but I had to be positive that what I had thought had actually happened. I didn't want a wavering decision regarding this conversion, i.e. Muslim one day and Christian the next, Muslim the day after that and back to Christianity again. So I made appointments with 4 imams to find out exactly what it meant to be a Muslim. The following month I was happy with the feeling of being home. I felt that what I had been looking for all my life had been found and, for the first time, I was in the house where I belonged. I felt that I had always been a Muslim, but God decided that I would serve His interests better by being born into a Christian environment, because it put me in a position to serve Him from a very different angle to a Muslim who was born into the religion. I have learned many things from my Muslim brothers and sisters, but there are many areas in which Muslims can learn from those who were brought up as Christians. Inshallah, I hope I never forget the day I converted, because as soon as I did, the world suddenly looked different, as if everything suddenly became colorful. I know that sounds very silly, but it's the only way I can describe the change I experienced. Things looked different, smelled different, sounded different, etc. I really can't put it into